awesome stories. So I would suggest watching them. They're short.
Cool. Yeah, agreed. They're great. All right. And from the international to the very, very local, a lot of the bikes that we get do go abroad, but a lot of our time is spent and our hearts are definitely in North Lawndale. And riding with Derek and Julie and the Boxing Out Negativity crew is probably the best thing you could do on a Friday evening. If anybody's around, wants to go over to Derek's house, which is where the ride takes off from, it's always a good time. So Derek, would you mind giving, I guess, a big picture of what you're up to and how bikes fit into it, especially recently?
Okay, how you all doing? Thanks again for having us. So North Lawndale is it's like third of the highest of the violent communities in the city of Chicago. And myself, I was born and raised in North Lawndale. North Lawndale, when I was born, was gang infested, drug infested, and I became a product of that environment. At the age of 13, I joined a gang. Once I joined the gang, my life went through a whole turmoil. I started going to jail at the age of 13. With gangs come drugs. Ended up being a drug dealer. At the age of 17, I went to the penitentiary and I became a high-ranking gang member. So those were the resources that my community had to offer. God made it and made me see through all that turmoil, and I ended up getting out the gang. And as I grew, once you know better, you do better. So I wanted to do something different. I wanted to lead our youth in the path of righteousness. I wanted to change the dynamics in North Lawndale due to the fact that the resources for youth like myself were very limited. So with that being said, I ended up creating an organization which is called Boxing Out Negativity. Boxing Out Negativity was designed to recruit the most at-risk youth in the North Lawndale community and change the youth norms. To change their norms, what's normal in our community is guys and children want to grow up to be drug dealers, want to grow up to be gangbangers like I did myself. But most of all, making fun of destruction. The idle mind for a child is like the devil's playground. And again, Boxing Out Negativity was formed to get these youth to show them something different in life. Was to change their norms. So I started teaching the youth boxing outside of a school called Penn School, which is 1616 South Avers, which was in the middle of all these drugs and gangs and everything. And a lot of what was happening was youth were changing. We would get youth with bad conduct, bad grades, bad attendance, and we would change all of those dynamics from failing to passing. Me not realizing the essence and the power that I had. It took me about at least 8 years to see and realize the change that we were doing. So like I said, Boxing Out Negativity was more than just boxing. So I started buying bikes. So every time I get a paycheck, I will buy a bike. But again, with all the youth that we have, those bikes were getting wore down real quick. So someone told me about working bikes. I ended up once a week, even I have to get a different bike repaired. And I think it was Paul was working at the time. And I was a regular face, and he was like, "What the world are you doing with all these bikes?" They were different bikes, and I explained to him the program, and he said, "You know what? There's something we can do." And he started donating. They started donating their time and fixing our bikes for free. And with that, Paul and Trevor started connecting us with different biking opportunities, because I told them about the bike rides we were ride, and they connected us with Slow Roll. They connected us with Think Outside the Box and different other organizations, and also Critical Mass. And with these, what we did learn was biking was more than just biking. It was connecting with a different community. And with that, every week, Boxing Out Negativity would ride in different parts of the city. We'll ride from the west side to downtown. We'll show them that our city is just not our blocks that we stayed on. Our community wasn't just North Lawndale. And it gave us a sight that the whole Chicago was our city. And with biking, empowered our youth to see a better part of Chicago and let them see that Chicago was just their Chicago was not just about selling drugs or doing negative things, and just to connect them with different parts of the community. But most of all, the real important part was connecting with Working Bikes. They started donating bikes to us. So then it got bigger than just donating bikes to just Boxing Out Negativity. They donated bikes to allow us to give to the community. One time around Christmas, I got a call from Working Bikes, and they donated 100 bikes. So we gave 100 bikes to over 70 plus families. And with that, it empowered us, because bikes are big. And I could just remember when I was a kid without a bike, and looking back, I could just remember I was a poor kid with no bike, and I could just remember this time that this kid was making fun of me because I didn't have a bike, and the only thing I had in my hand. This is a sad story. I had this hammer in my hand, and I got so mad at the kid, I just threw the hammer at him, not realizing what I was doing, and I hit this kid upside the head with a hammer. So with that, better, you learn, and you do better. With that, I vow to help youth, and also just to get these bikes. To give these bikes is like healing a child and making a child dream come true, so that, nothing violent can come out. But most of all, it gives them freedom. It gives them opportunity to connect. And with that, we started with these bike rides, and with connecting with Critical Mass and all these other biking events. It allowed us to brainstorm and come up with a North Lawndale Bike Ride for Peace. And the Bike Ride for Peace was designed to connect not just Boxing Out Negativity with the community, but other organizations, other biking partners, and they would get a chance to ride through the most violent parts of North Lawndale. And when we ride through these parts of the community, we get so much love. And what we're doing, we're giving the community vision. We're giving them a vision that, we can go anywhere we want, if we just unlock that invisible line that's in our heads. It unlocks the fear that we can connect with other parts of the community. Like I said, most of these youth were born on certain blocks and never left their blocks. They never connected with different parts of the community, but also it gave other partners to see these quote unquote violent parts of the community, and just to see that, everybody have love in them. Sometimes when you just give people the resources that they necessarily need, and to show them. So with Working Bikes is giving us an opportunity to just lead by example, but most of all to ride by example. You want to add anything, Julie?
I was just going to say, Working Bikes was really, I think, our first deep link into the biking community, and it's really exploded. So they were an incredible partner in planning our Street Love Ride, which drew out more than 400 people in August. And so we're planning already a Biking Out Negativity event that's youth focused in May, that Trevor has pledged, I think, 100 bikes to be donated to give away at that event. And then we're planning a Street Love Ride.
That's the Working Bikes volunteers who pledged 100 bikes. Everybody's going to be chipping into that to fix them up.
That is incredible. Awesome. Yeah, fair enough. So all that I know is that you make incredible things happen. So I don't always keep track of the details, but I know that somehow Working Bikes is always showing up for us. So they've been a partner with the opening of a bike library in North Lawndale as well. And with social distancing and COVID, we've really leaned into biking as a way to stay connected to our community, including our teammates, their families, and just, you know, whoever wants to come out for these rides. And so literally, I've actually slipped up before and accidentally referred to us as biking out negativity because it's become such a critical part of what we're doing and how we're building these connections. And absolutely to see, like when we're riding and pulling, you know, a speaker on these rides and people are just showing that love and it really just spreading joy in a community that's gone through so much stress. It's a beautiful scene and beautiful experience, and it's an open door for anybody that wants to come out. But we appreciate Working Bikes, you know, leading us into this community, all the support that you've provided over the years, really, and we look forward to what lies ahead.
Right. And the most important part is the support that we get from, you know, not just organized community, but the community that's part of the streets, gang members and all the above. They sit and they, you know, when we ride down their blocks, they will stop selling drugs and just let us through, and they'll put a fist up just as love. You know, the only way to, I'm talking it, but anybody and everybody is welcome to join us on one of these rides so you can experience the love that we get from every corner in North Line. There isn't a corner, a violent corner that we don't go to through. And when we ride past, they stop doing what they do and they show love. We even did gang intervention like that. So we once did a bike ride on a Friday and we had 3 different groups that represent different gangs, and they ended up joining us on a bike ride through each community. And then once we go past the community, we did a ride through the community to the Forest Reserve. And, you know, these rides be like 15 miles, 20 miles, and just give them that experience of seeing something different and just to see grown men face light up and like, wow, I wish I was doing this when I was a kid. Just like going to Big Marsh, we'll pack our bikes up and we'll ride to Big Marsh. And the only thing that I can say was, I wish I had this when I was a kid. So to be a part of that world is one of the most amazingest things. And again, words can't describe the thanks that we have in our hearts at Boxing Out Negativity. I could just take this camera and show you our fleet of bikes. It's just amazing.
You know, Derek, as you're talking, and like I'm thinking about farming and agriculture and a couple of sensory garden spaces that I built, and I'm just kind of picturing my mind like a farm bike tour or bike farm tour, getting the youth engaged in agriculture and growing their own food, and maybe ending up at one of the farms like Chicago Patchwork Farm. I'm going to be working with them this summer. And they have a gathering space in the rear of the farm. We call it, what's the back of the farm space called? Chicago Pie Patch. And it's just a space meant for that. It's like a sanctuary space in the back of the farm, just to gather and meet and just, you know, get things off your mind. And I'm like, so seeing this. I mean, I was kind of thinking about biking and farms, you know, which is my Working Bikes donated my Schwinn 3-wheeler when I was doing, cooking for a couple of the youth farms over the last couple of summers. But it's just like, I'm so picturing that in my mind, just to get them, get these youth around and see some of the urban farm spaces and just getting them to see some things that they can nourish their bodies as well as they ride, right? And, you know, it's just literally wheels are spinning thinking about that. I'd definitely love to put something like that together. We could collaborate even eventually on something like that too. You know,
Sure.
Maybe I can get a farming garden space going too for the kids. Some kind of nature play space for the younger kids. I get excited, so it's like everything's like, oh, we can do this too. So, right.
Let's teach them about planting seeds. That's great.
Right, exactly. You know, plant some seeds, feed the hood. You know, grow your food, feed the hoods. So that's how I see it. You know, definitely.
Cool. And I just shared the event pages for both of those big bike rides for the summer, but I'm pretty sure we'll be doing those Friday night weekly rides as well.
Without a doubt.
Rudy, feel free to go ahead and register and get that on your calendars. We're excited.
I could share a little story. So again, getting our youth out the neighborhood was something different. And when we first started doing it, I took them to the Forest Reserve, and most of them don't know nothing but what they see on TV. So to get them to push hard and stay together, I used to tell them there's alligators out in the Forest Reserve, so stick close. So they were so scared, and they watching Jason and all these movies. So I had to sit down and retract what I told them. So one day they just start seeing people in the dark. So they was hollering and scared. So I got so frustrated, we stopped, and I told them, just be quiet. What do you hear? And they said nothing. And I said, look up and look up at the sky. What do you see? And they looked up, and right in the middle of the forest, all they seen was stars. And most of them seen stars for the first time. And he was like, whoa, coach, this is amazing. And then we talked about when I say, what do you hear? And they heard the crickets, peace and quiet. No one heard a siren. No one heard any gunshots. And that was the first time that they realized nature, and nature was beautiful. So which that put us on a path. So we're working on doing a biking camping trip one day. So we're looking forward to that, just to give them something different.
There are so many components to it, but bringing people downtown into the forest preserves and just the fitness aspect. So I was starting to ride more this summer. I was proud. I was living the childhood I never had, and I was like, yeah, I'll go on this bike ride with the team. I guess it was a 23-mile bike ride, and there was one girl around that came with her dad that had never ridden off her block that was able to experience all 23 miles of that. So we are definitely getting people out there, but it's beautiful.
That's great. I mean, this makes me want to plan so many rides. And this guy, Tim, with Nature's Farm Camp, has opened up his camp. He suggested riding out to it. So there could be a place to go stay. We do have a meeting agenda here, but it's so nice to have you here. Does anybody have any questions for Derek or Julie? I mean, we can show up at Derek's house on a Friday and ask him in person. But while we got him on video right now and this being recorded, anyone else?
Do you all have any involve any female youth in any of your events?
Oh, without a doubt. It's boys and young ladies. Like I try to, so it's all about just teaching them values, teaching values of the young women. In my eyes, our women are the leaders and our men are the protectors. But most of all, to show our young women to how to conduct themselves and require more for themselves and hold themselves to a higher standards. And that would automatically bring the young men to bring themselves to a higher standard. So that is very important and critical to have women with us.
Derek, this is Phil. And I wanted to say a couple of things. I went on a tour with Equiticity. My whole family went this summer. And as we walked through North Lawndale, who did we have riding bikes and stopping at each street? So all the cars would stop for us and stuff. Your kids.
Beautiful.
It was really wonderful to make contact with them. And then I was on another ride and I saw one of the kids. Oh, and I recognized him from a Working Bikes video when Shail was showing him how to work on a bike. So in any case, I always get way too long-winded, so I'm going to stop. I just also want to say that, I see these things, but to hear you now is so moving and so impactful. And I'm so glad that Trevor decided to go forward with 2 presentations today, because both you and John show some of the fuller impacts that we are able to help with. And it makes it so incredibly worthwhile to work with Working Bikes. So we know that we have people like you who can carry it forward.
I'm just like one of the kids, just want to be a part of something, and that's what drives a lot of our youth in these destructive paths, because we don't have nothing for them to be a part of. But just being with Working Bikes just made us that much bigger. So it's definitely appreciated from the heart.
No, likewise, Derek. And we appreciate you and all that you do. It is amazing. Thanks, Phil, for giving that context. We're really fortunate we get to partner with you. And I still can't believe it was years you were coming in, buying bikes, bringing broken bikes, and we were just fixing them before we had any idea what you were up to. So I'm
know,
glad.
right?
Get it on your calendar now, May 22nd. We'll keep fixing bikes. In the lead up to that, hopefully we can give away 100.